Marcos.
10 months after the flames were doused, it remains the fire Philadelphia has yet to put out.
To allow that fire to burn and to use that fire as a tactical weapon, I think is absolutely inexcusable. And to me, that's the worst possible decision.
The worst decision among many bad ones: grossly negligent, excessive, unconscionable, unjustified homicide are just a few of the terms the commission used in its final report to describe the decisions of Mayor Wilson Goode and his subordinates. The chairman of the commission suggested that Philadelphia's police and fire commissioner could end up facing criminal indictments for their actions. So could Mayor Goode, though the commission chairman seemed to think that less likely. Whether Philadelphia's first black mayor will survive politically is another question.
I believe very strongly, very, very strongly, that I'm capable.
But pundits like columnist Clark DeLeon have their doubts.
I can't conceive of the mayor surviving this. I don't think any mayor in any city could survive such a catastrophe. And given the information that's come out in these hearings, I think politically Wilson Goode is dead.
But those who will make the final decision, the voters of Philadelphia, are split on the question.
I don't think he has much of a future.
Would you vote for him again?
No.
Did you in the past?
Yes.
Politically, do you think he's going to survive, move? Should he survive?
Yes, I think he should survive. I think he took full blame for it, and I like him.
Best thing he could do is just finish his term out and forget about running again. You can't be killing little kids and dropping bombs on people's houses. Say North Vietnam or South Vietnam.
The past of another politician is also coming back to haunt him. A California state senator says at least $11 million worth of choice real estate in Los Angeles and San Diego counties is linked to former Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos. A large chunk of the Southern California holdings are in the name of a woman who claims to be the ex-president's former mistress.
He would come to the door sometimes with a very sad face like this, and I'd say, no, 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 you can't come inside with a sad face, you have to come inside with a happy face. And he would smile with that cute little dimple of his, and he would come on in, and I'd sit him down on the floor and feed him fried chicken, and it was one of the times in his busy schedule and the work demands that he had that I think he truly could relax.
This 30-room estate in Pasadena is owned by Villagran and her husband. It's among the properties said to be linked to Marcos. Meanwhile, President Reagan is fighting for more military aid to rebels battling the government of Nicaragua. Today, the House Foreign Affairs Committee rejected the president's request for $100 million in aid. 3 other House panels have also said no to Reagan's request. The full House is expected to vote on that question on March 19th. A swearing-in ceremony for Binghamton's first ever federal judge, and a day in court for 7 anti-abortion protesters. Veronica McQuillan reports the verdict in their trespass resisting case when Action News continues. Citing the courage of their convictions, the defense attorney for 7 anti-abortion protesters argued against trespass and resisting arrest charges in Binghamton City Court today. Action News reporter Veronica McQuillan was in the courtroom.
It's been 2 months since 7 anti-abortion protesters were arrested at Southern Tier Women's Services, charged with criminal trespass. The protesters were carried out by police after chaining themselves to equipment inside the clinic. When police arrived and undid the chains, 6 of the 7 went limp and had to be dragged out. Those 6 were charged with resisting arrest. In Binghamton City Court, the defendants stood trial. The jury deliberated 2.5 hours. The final verdict, guilty on all charges. Throughout the day-long trial, the defendants maintained that what they were doing was only what they felt was right, what they felt they had to do. On the stand, all 7 said abortion was murder.
I feel justified in what I've done, just like those that worked the Underground Railroad felt justified in what they done. And certainly now we look back and say they're not guilty. Those freedom fighters that helped to free Jews in concentration camps certainly didn't feel guilty for what they were doing.
But the assistant DA saw the events of January 8th differently. Assistant DA Rita Connerton told jurors it was a simple case of illegal trespass. She also said in closing statements that if there was any deeper issue, it was the issue of democracy, of privacy. In her words, quote, "These defendants feel that because they hold a strong belief, they are free to do as they choose, to impose that belief on others, even to enter your house if they dislike your verdict." She told jurors that wasn't the American way. After jurors came back with a guilty verdict, the defendants received fines and conditional discharges. They were told not to do it again, but some said they will be back. Veronica McQuillan, Action News, Binghamton.
What many had waited for months took place in Albany today. The first ever federal judge for the new Binghamton bench was sworn in.
And that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a United States District Court Judge.
Thomas McAvoy took the oath before a small group of family, friends, and other supporters. Judge McAvoy donned the traditional black robe and joined fellow judges Neil McCurran and James Felony on the bench. Later, he told our Pat Zyga of his delight in finally receiving the appointment.
I feel exhilarated. I'm so happy. This has been such a long time in coming. It makes me proud to be able to be here and be associated with fine guys like Judge McCurran and Judge Foley.
A formal investiture ceremony will be conducted in the new Binghamton courtroom on April the 26th. A medical milestone achieved at the Medical Center in Albany, and 2 area residents are a big part of it. The center performed its 500th kidney transplant on 40-year-old Thomas Socha of Johnson City last week. Number 501, 35-year-old Linda Miller of Binghamton. Both say they feel very much better compared to their condition before surgery.
I can feel in my body, in my hands, in my arms. It doesn't feel like the toxins are in my body anymore.
Did you notice that change right away after the operation, or was it a gradual?
No, the very next day.
Linda Miller had some advice for those facing a kidney transplant operation.
To try it. The team here are very nice to work with, and they know what they're doing, and I put my trust in them.
The coordinator of the transplant program says more and more kidneys are being donated.
The new New York State law that requires hospitals to discuss organ donation with families, we've seen since January 1, we've had 10 organ donors and 25 referrals. So we're seeing an increase in the first 2 months of the year, so I'm encouraged by the new law.
The success rate is also making the procedure more and more attractive. Elmira's new sports arena is one step closer to reality today. King Ice officials met with prospective architects and construction contractors today. Plans are to build a 5,000-seat arena on Elmira's south side. But first, King Ice has to secure some property adjacent to the future arena site for parking.
We also are reassuring the people that they won't be put out on the street. They'll have plenty of time. We'll give them as much time as they need to move when the time comes, but we won't be needing the properties like, tomorrow or anything like that.
The city of Elmira as a whole and the whole area is going to benefit from this thing, and I guess that I'm certainly willing to let my property go for that purpose.
King Ice Marketing Director Brendan Wellham says the next step is to bring a minor league hockey team to Elmira. Our Nancy Harrison's learned that groundbreaking is set for sometime in April. Well, investors held Wall Street to a rally to close out today, although some of the earlier ground was lost at the end. The Dow Industrials gained nearly 10 points on the day. Trade active at near 159 million shares. Advances overpowered declines 2-1 at the final bell. Still ahead tonight, the Orange take the boys from BC to the Cleaners and set a new scoring record along the way. Mitch with game highlights and all the sports when Action News continues. Sometimes consistency is more important than really winning or losing. Here's Mitch to tell us about the Orange at work today.
Something like that. They got paralyzed him again, and we have a letter to the editor. We're going to clear this up once and for all at the end of tonight's broadcast. Okay, first of all, we have a new Big East tourney record this afternoon, courtesy of the Orange. Boston College had the old mark set against Syracuse back in 1982. They were blown off the court today. Howard Trish gets a hand in. Pearl Washington does the rest for Syracuse. Washington, 27 points this afternoon, 2 of them there. Washington dribbles, twists, turns, steps out of bounds a little bit. Who cares? Shoots, follows up his shot. puts it up and in. He was all over the place. Syracuse coming up with the steal off the bad pass. Greg Monroe, Raphael Addison. Addison threw in 12 this afternoon. Second half, Ronnie Cycli, 20 points on the block with the elbow. They're off and running. Monroe to Washington, and Washington off to Cycli, and it's Syracuse and Georgetown in one semifinal. Now, Georgetown is up 57-56. Seconds to go. Demetrius Gore can't put the shot in, but David Wingate is swamped and fouled. Goes to the line, misses the 1-and-1. Here they come. 3, 2, and there's the toilet paper. We'll stop the game, clean off the court. Yeah, get the 2 seconds back, says Roy Chipman. And Demetrius Gore tries to put up the shot. He slips and falls. Georgetown hangs on by a point. On to St. John's and Seton Hall this evening. The Redmen roll. Volleyball tonight. Shelton Jones, Walter Berry, and Willie Glass with the slam. John Morton, this guy's only a freshman for Seton Hall. This is a fine and a half. 17 points this evening. Goes the distance for the jumper off the glass. Very nice. Passing, you got it. Berry, 18 points, 12 rebounds for St. John's. Second half, Mark Jackson to Ron Rowan, who led the Redmen with 19. St. John's rolls. Looks like they will play Villanova in the next semifinal. Inside they go to Harold Presley off the feed from Harold Jensen. The foul there. Jensen from the corner hits from one side, decides to try it from the other. He was all over the place. They're up by 10 at the half. Second half, Seton Hall, a guy named Billy Donovan, the jumper from afar, but Villanova leads in the second half there. More men's hoop. We've got them all. Southeast Conference this evening. Kentucky leads Mississippi. Mississippi State beat Auburn. Elsewhere in the SEC, LSU over Florida. Alabama over Georgia. Michigan is now tied with Indiana for first in the Big Ten, the win tonight. Iowa beat Illinois, and Texas El Paso is a winner in the Western Conference. The NBA this evening, Knicks' luck ran out in Washington this evening. Houston beat Sacramento. The late ones, Dallas and the Clippers, Lakers, and Golden State. Now, some New York State sports writers' numbers. Binghamton's guys are still number 3. The girls are number 18 on their respective lists. Small schools, Cooperstown is the highest-ranked local boys team at number 10. Delhi's girls, the only undefeated local squad, also ranked 10th on the ladies' list. On the ice, 2 games in the American Hockey League tonight. Fredericton beat Springfield 5-3. Nova Scotia over Baltimore 6-1. The we got to keep winning to stay in the hunt for a playoff spot. Whalers host Nova Scotia tomorrow night. Early Ranger highlights from Calgary. Jim Poplinski to Dan Quinn as Barry Beck watches. And there goes the backhander. And there goes Glenn Hanlon. And now Calgary has taken a 2-0 lead. That is in the second period. As for the rest of the National Hockey League, Philadelphia leads Toronto in the third. Quebec beat Boston in overtime. St. Louis outshoots Montreal. New Jersey knocks off the Dead Wings. And Los Angeles and Vancouver are scoreless in the first. And the first exhibition game of the year today, thank you, White Sox over Detroit, 5-2. Now finally from the mailbox, Bill Finch of RD1, Windsor writes, Dear Mitch, I am a World Wrestling Federation fan. I did not like the way you made fun of Hulk Hogan. I think you should say you're sorry for making fun of him. It goes on to say,